So I was set up nicely for this. I think it was Matt Dubin, I think he's in here yesterday, that talked about kind of the leaders, firm owners needing to step out of the way. So what's not recognized often is that bottleneck is stuck with your leader, with your firm owner. And I know we have a mixed group in here. We have a combination of some firm owners, we have some already operators, partners, managing partners. I think a lot of this is going to speak to those firm owners. And I promise I'm not just saying totally step out of the way. We want to give you kind of the tools that you need to raise up your leadership team. But that is true. If you're still that law firm owner who is handling everything and everything still has to run through you, it's a problem. You're stuck, your team is stuck, and things aren't happening as quickly as they really should. So lawyering is not the same as leading. I know plenty of attorneys that are fantastic attorneys, can win the case, can be everything they need to be for their client, not necessarily a great leader or manager. So big difference is you can be a great lawyer, win the case. Building a firm wins every case. When you build your firm and build up all the people around you, that's when you're really running a well-run firm. Very important. Again, speaking to what's been a common theme, and I think I can tell operators because they nod their head on this one. If your firm can't run on a Tuesday without you, you don't have a firm. You have a job with a lot of employees. So everyone kind of needs to do that gut check. If you're a firm owner in this room, can you honestly answer, like, will the firm run without you if you are suddenly gone for a day, a week, 2 weeks, not planned? That's an important piece, and not available. Here's the 5 principles we were going to kind of touch on today. Clarity of vision, where the firm is going, something that can be repeated by anybody in your firm in like one sentence. Principle 2 is holding the standard. The behavior you walk past in your firm is the behavior that you accept. And kind of drink that in. You walk past someone who's slumped over in their chair, being rude to a client, and you literally walk past it and accept that, that's your firm. Principle 3, decide and move. Indecision is one of the biggest inhibitors and waste of money in your firm. I've often met with plenty of firms where I'm asking, okay, are you meeting regularly? Because the ball's not moving forward. Are you meeting regularly? Yes, we're meeting regularly. We talk all the time. We've talked through this. It's a lot of talk and then not a lot of action because that indecision is just preventing everything from moving forward. Develop people, not just cases. And this is what I'm talking about, and this is why leadership is so important. If you're only focusing on, working the cases, and you're not developing your people, eventually you lose that knowledge. People can't live up to their predecessors. And principle 5, lead yourself first. Set the example. We say this all the time, lead by example. It's not BS. So let's talk about vision. We're going to be the best respected firm in the state. We're going to be the biggest firm in the state. We're going to be the premier destination in Texas for legal matters. That sounds like a poster. This is what sounds like a plan. By Q4 2027, we signed 60 cases a month, settled 80% in under 14 months, and our average net per file is $42,000. That's a solid. You're rattling that off. Those are actually tangible things that can be done. Okay. If anybody in your firm, paralegal being an example, if your mail person, if your receptionist can't tell you what the goal is at the firm, you don't have one. So the firm owner can say the 3-year picture in 30 seconds. It's kind of like your elevator pitch. In your mind, a lot of us are doing traction, and you have your 3-year plan, your 5-year plan. So in 3 years, 5 years, where you want to go, and you should be able to rattle that off. The leadership team, they need to know what they own inside of that. They're pushing your vision forward. They're carrying it out. They are the integrators. They need to know what they own inside it and be able to verbalize it. The department heads, they need to say what their teams need to meet that quarter. What goals do they need to hit? And they need to be relaying that to their team. So again, it's the vision, and then it's carrying it out at every level. The individual can say how their week numbers actually moved the ball towards that goal. So every week. So we're talking about like KPIs, scorecards, the things we're tracking. Everyone needs to know how their piece fits into the big picture. Again, standard you walk past, standard you accept. 3 places the standard gets set or quietly is lost. These are just 3 examples, okay? Intake. Phone answers in 3 rings, period. No exceptions. Every missed call is wasted marketing dollars, and I know you guys know this. So if you have an intake team that is not living up to this, not answering the phone in 3 rings, or whatever it is that you set, you are losing literally the millions of dollars that you invested in marketing. Litigation, clients called every 14 days. If you set that standard and that's the expectation, that's not happening. I mean, guess what the number 1 bar complaint is? Lack of communication. So you're missing this, you're not setting the standard. In client care at the end of the case, checks delivered the same week that it clears. At the end of the case, your clients are just waiting. Really, from the point they're done treating, they're just waiting. So any point where you can, stop the bleeding and move things quickly, they'll remember that. They want to feel good. So at the end of the case, they got their check right away. It was a good experience. We talk about like swag at the end of the case. So that's the expectation. Every client should have that same experience. You can't have one client have some fabulous experience at the end of their case because it was a big case and you guys are excited. I don't care if it's the smallest case, they should have that same experience because they're going to that's what they're going to remember at the end of the case. They're going to refer their friends, their family. God forbid they get into another accident, they're going to come back. Be consistent with that. And you have to make sure that you set that standard and that's what's actually being delivered. 11 weeks. 11 weeks. That's a long time in a law firm. This is where we're talking about that indecision. You have meeting after meeting, you discuss all the issues that are happening, but you're not actually making any decisions on it. This is where you're losing time on your P&L. So when it comes to those tough decisions, and you have to make one, it's not a choice, you have 2 buckets of decisions. You have the reversible decision, which is most decisions, and you have the one-way, more rare decision. So when you're in these meetings and you have these kind of lower level decisions that can be made, make it. What's the worst that's gonna happen? It doesn't work and you switch it back. It doesn't work and you pivot and do something else. Not doing anything for these like daily decisions is just putting you behind in the entire firm. Then there's those rare decisions. This is where you do want to slow down and get it right. This is like the high-level hires. You're hiring a new COO. You're hiring, a new CFO. You're opening a new building. Slow down, get it right. So we're not saying like make these quick decisions and don't think about it. Just don't take 11 weeks on everything. Your team is the multiplier. Remember that first pillar, people. A good paralegal is going to move 3 times as many files per month. And I think most of us know that. If you're tracking KPIs in your firm and you have a paralegal maybe not performing as well, do that math. I guarantee you, your best paralegal is probably moving 3 times as many files. Same with intake, 40 more cases signed. Again, you're going to lose those marketing dollars if you don't invest in the right intake people. And not just invest in like hiring, like invest in the people, grow them, lead them. Same thing with a great department head. Great department head, and this is where you firm owners come in place. You have your department heads, they're saving you an average of 15 hours a week. How do you value your time? That's what we really need to think about, especially when you are looking at hiring your kind of second in commands, your COOs, your operators. They're supposed to alleviate a lot of the things that either you don't enjoy doing. You're at this point in your firm, you're growing your firm. You should be doing what you love to do. This is one of the first conversations we have with every firm owner that's currently doing everything. What is it you really like to do? What do you want to do? It's kind of like, where do you see yourself personally in the next couple years? You need to hire that operator who's going to be able to save you time. There's so much value in time. Okay. How many of you have weekly one-on-ones with your direct reports? Every week? 1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah, only a handful. This is worth every second of your time. It's hard to do. I know when we're busy. Look, I was vice president of a 300-person firm. I still had to have one-on-one meetings with all my department heads every week. But I structured it. I never had a meeting for the sake of meeting. There was never a waste of time. Guaranteed, things are going to move if these are the things you're talking about. And you don't have to be rigid. I'm not that rigid on time, but it does help structure your meetings. Spend the first 5 minutes talking about the scorecard. What have we done this week or last week if you're doing kind of a look back? What didn't work? What worked? What do we need to focus on? 10 minutes, set the priorities for this week that you're in. What are 2 or 3 things that they must finish that week, and why is it so important? So it's it's a two-way conversation. Next 10 minutes, what are the obstacles? So this is going to eliminate, this is actually one of the best things that I ever did when I really did these one-on-one meetings every week. It stopped all those knocks on my door. It stopped all those, do you have a minute? We all know that. If you're in an office still with your staff, do you have a minute? And the answer is usually no, but you don't want to say that to the person who's asking. This prevents, it's kind of that proactive leadership. When your staff knows that they have this scheduled time with you, they'll be more cognizant about okay, well, maybe this can wait. Maybe I know we're going to have that time to talk, so maybe I can hold this for that time, and I can talk to my leader about what I'm struggling with. And then the last 5 minutes, kind of a growth plan. What are we looking for to move on? What do we want to focus on next? How can we grow you? How can I help you? And it's a similar structure, honestly, with my quarterly and year-end conversations. They're longer than half an hour, certainly, but I always want to talk about growth plans at the end. You don't lead with the title. Did you ever hear, I think it was Simon Sinek, a boss has the title, a leader has the people, and I believe strongly in that. I hated ever being called a boss. I don't want to be called a manager. You manage tasks and process. You don't manage people. You lead them. So you as the leader, whatever position you're in, if you have anyone working with you, under you, however, these are the things you need to focus on. The first one, energy. Show up at the energy level that you want. It's hard. Sometimes on some days you're faking it till you make it, but Monday you walk in and you're exhausted, you're frustrated with someone in your firm, and it shows. And people just walking through the firm, people see that, it shows, they feel that, and they internalize it. They're feeding off of your energy. So you have to be very aware of the energy that you're putting out. And I know we can't be bubbly and happy every day because that's not realistic and that's fake, honestly. But still lead with a good energy of being up and ready to go. Input 2, time. Where you spend your hours is what you actually value. So if you are going to say that you value people, that is where you should be spending the majority of your time. If you look at your calendar and all of your time is set out working on cases or doing something very siloed and solo and not with people, that's actually not your highest value. And 3, attention. What you ask about is what gets worked on. So this is where kind of KPIs come into place. What people are actually being tracked on and what you're actually talking to them about. So you can track everything. But if you never kind of discuss these things, no one actually thinks you're looking at it. So what gets watched really gets done. And I think we all know that. You have to focus on something and people know that you're actually taking in those numbers and asking about, inquiring about it. All of a sudden they kind of stand up and yeah, I need to work on this. So, what gets work done? Here's what I'm saying about your calendar. Be honest with yourself. Go back and look at your calendar. Like, I live and die by my calendar, and I think most of us do. And this is what you'd really want to kind of evaluate. How much time were you spent actually like leading people? How much time do you spend just lawyering? And more importantly, how much time do you spend just reacting to things? So reacting to things are going to be those, again, all those interruptions that you have. A reactive leader. If you build your entire week around what interrupts you, you're just putting out fires. And that's not ideal. This is the same in case management, where we want proactive case management instead of reactive. We want proactive leaders. We want them to not have to be putting out fires all the time. All the more important reason to build up your leadership team so you're not the single point of failure, honestly, and the single point of where things can go wrong. The absent leader. So I've actually seen this in a lot of firms that we've worked with, where they're very confident that they hired all the right people and I don't have to be around. And you do want to raise the firm that can work without you and still run without you, but being completely absent, people feel that too. Being the friend and not the boss. So who doesn't want to be liked? We want to be liked. Doesn't mean that you're being a great leader for them. So if you want to be liked, and so you have an employee who's showing up late, constantly, messing up and not meeting their numbers or whatever it is, and you're just trying to be a friend to them because you want them to like you. And look, you can be a fantastic leader and not be everyone's best friend. One of the things I wrote in our book was about my experience when I took over a department, and the leader that they had before them went like clubbing with them, like took them out to bars and stuff. So they loved her. And I thought, shit, I'm falling behind this, and I'm like, I don't know very much about the department. I have to get up and running very quickly. I'm not going to be very welcomed, but I knew what I wasn't going to do. And I told them the very first day, I'm not going clubbing with you. In the end, with that department, I put a lot of structure in place. I revamped the whole thing. I had to fire a lot of people. I had to hire a lot of people. When they had that structure, and I didn't just have their leader that was trying to be their friend, in the end, they truly appreciated it. I had multiple conversations, 360 review feedbacks that, yes, while they went clubbing with their prior boss, she was not giving them what they needed. So in the end, it was appreciated. And I was still pleasant and friendly. I just wasn't their friend. I invested more in their careers and growing them at my firm, and that's more valuable than me taking them out drinking, honestly. So you all can do this at some point. I did it kind of like as if we were in these operator sessions, because some of you know, or hopefully all of you know by now, what we're intending to do is create an operator's mastermind. So very similar to a lot of you firm owners that are in mastermind groups. Some of you bring your operators, some of you don't. We want to have this separate group for operators so they really have that same kind of community, that same kind of being able to interact with each other and learn from each other. So we're going to do things like this. It's not all going to be presentations. Like, I really want it to be like interactive and really just like the mastermind groups are that you guys are in, where you're really like being honest with each other and talking to each other. Your operators, I guarantee you, if you do bring them to your masterminds, they're going to talk a lot more in the ones you guys aren't at. I promise you that. But you can do this is score yourself on these. Vision, standard, decide, people, and self. My team can repeat our 3-year vision back to me unprompted, 1 through 5. There is no behavior in my firm that I'm tolerating right now. No open decision in my firm is more than 14 days old. Every direct report had a real one-on-one with me in the past 7 days. And my calendar last week reflected what I say my priorities are. This is something that we would focus on in our kind of mastermind groups, is pick one principle and work on it for the next 90 days. So those 5 principles that we talked about, in the first 1 to 30 days, diagnose. Where's the principle breaking? Who is affected? What is the cost in hours, dollars? And focus on it, work on that. In the next 31 to 60 days, install. Build one new habit. In those 30 and 60 days, solidify one new habit. Harden. This is where you're going to measure what changed in the numbers. So it's kind of like really what's working, what's not working. Work on those one at a time, each of those 5 principles. And give yourself these full 90 days and really dedicate time to this. 90 days short enough to be honest about it and long enough to break a habit. Anything shorter is just acting, it's theater. 3 things off the calendar this week. Now this you all can do. Answering every email yourself, even the ones a paralegal could close in 2 lines. So call it, an email, cut a phone call, whatever it is. You have someone that you could delegate that to, do it. It's, you don't have to be the only person answering everybody's question in the firm. You have to trust your people. 2, sitting in meetings where you're not the person who has to be in the room. I am a huge fan of this. I had beyond meeting fatigue when I was running my firm. This is where I started implementing them myself. If there was any meeting where I didn't say a word, I didn't walk away with any task to do, I was not meant to be in that room. If I didn't have input, if I didn't have something to do when I left that room, did not need to be there. You guys have some meetings, I guarantee you can be skipping by now. And 3, reviewing files for staff. We should be reviewing each other's instead. This is just an example. If you're a lawyer and you are still working cases and you're the firm owner, think about, or if you're reviewing all your other attorneys' cases, should you be doing that? Is there not somebody else that you can delegate that to? If there's not, you need to be building that person. 3 things on the calendar this week. Start those weekly 30-minute meetings. Break it down, the 5 minutes, 10 minutes, 10 minutes, 5 minutes. The 60-minute Friday review of last week's scoreboard. Okay, this is something you do by yourself. Go get a cup of coffee, step away from it. You can do it out of the office. You can close your door and do it. Review the scoreboard from the last week by yourself. So all the KPIs in the firm as a collective. Take that time, again, take the time to actually review what you're measuring and what action you want to take on it. 3, have that one hard conversation you've been avoiding. Everybody has one. I can see people nodding. Just do it. Putting it off is not making it any better. If you have that hard conversation that's still pending, do it next week. Principle you don't track is a principle you don't believe in. Again, I'm not going to go through all these slides because I'm actually running out of time. So we'll make the decks available, but I do want you guys to kind of go through this. And here's the 5 principles we talked about one more time. Clarity of vision, cascade it down, hold the standard, walk past nothing, decide and move. Most doors are those 2-way doors. So there's 2 decisions that are 2-way door, most decisions, 1-way door. You need to take that extra time, but don't have that average of 11 weeks where something's still pending. Decide and move, develop people, not just cases, and lead yourself first. It's what we always say, lead by example. Bring the energy that you want back from everybody in your firm.